web is not that young anymore, and we live in a world in which your life is lived on the web, your data is on the web, your history is there, and your history is kind of hidden in metadata that is not accessible to you that easily. So Immersion is a tool that allows you to actually experience that life that you have on the web by accessing your metadata, visualizing it, and letting you see the web that you have weaved together with others. Immersion is about self-reflection at a time in which most people are accessing tools that are basically tools of self-promotion or tools that enable an overwhelming amount of interactions that is basically unnatural to us. It is also an art piece in the sense that, it is a canvas that is empty until the user comes and experiences it.
If you look at how email data has been presented to users over the last many years, you'll notice something very odd. Almost all inboxes look the same. They have a linear, stacked, time-ordered representation of email after email. And this sort of motivated us to come up with a fresh perspective on representing an inbox. With Immersion, we decided to focus on the most important component of emails, and that's the people that you interact with on a daily basis. And that's what you see in the visualization. It's a people-centric view of your email life. Over the last few months, we've gone through many different visual iterations for the visualization. And we decided to keep the visual language very simple. There's a node representing a person, and a line between nodes represents communication between those people.
So the architecture behind Immersion is we have the basic setup, which is the Immersion server and the client. And the client uses third-party authentication mechanism to grant us access to the emails at Google, so we never get to see the password directly. And then once we get access to that, we can fetch a lot of emails very quickly because we only focus on the headers. So we can process up to 10,000 emails in 10 minutes. On the client side, we process basically all the information, all these headers, and all the statistics and all the algorithms happen there. So we show some basic stats, we do some filtering where we want to detect real people and also aggregate multiple emails to one person because people can have multiple aliases. The timeline filtering happens on the client, and we use D3.js for the network layout, which also is rendered on the client. And then we also use community detection algorithms. We actually implemented one of the several community detection algorithms or clustering algorithms that have been developed by the network science community. And we also do that on the client, and we can do it real time, and this is key. So when we are focusing on a subset of the emails in real time, we can recluster data and show that directly.
We first launched Immersion as an interactive installation at the Media Lab. And the installation had a couple of extra features that are not on the website at the moment. One of these features is called the guest book, where visitors who logged into the installation and saved the Immersion profile would then appear as a node in the guest book's connected graph. And not surprisingly, over time, an interesting trend started to emerge. Towards the core of this guest book graph was all the Media Lab members, and towards the periphery of it were the visitors who probably had very little connection with the larger group within the lab. Another feature for the installation was the rankings view, which ranked users based on the number of email collaborators they had in their inbox. A collaborator is a person with whom you've exchanged at least 3 emails with. Putting up that installation gave us an opportunity to get some really good feedback from members of the lab as well as visitors in person. we got to see different kinds of user profiles. People who would indulge in more than 100 emails a day, to some users who would have only a few emails a day, maybe 10 or 20. And it was very interesting to observe the different kinds of networks that Immersion would spawn for these different kinds of usage profiles.
Immersion is also about privacy, because it allows you to understand what is the data that you have already shared with others. But it's also about data ownership. Immersion allows you to delete your data, and by allowing you to delete your data, we're making sure that you are the one that has complete control over it.
In the making of Immersion, when I had the chance to see my network for the first time,